In this video I'm going to show you a simple technique to achieve a marble effect on your Warhammer bases. Hello, this is Craig from bitsbox.co.uk. So in this video I'm going to show you a simple way of painting a marble technique that you can use on your bases in Warhammer or 40k or whatever you want to use it for. This is the first paint tutorial I've done for a little while. It's just a simple one, but I thought I'd do it as I was going to paint this marble effect anyway, so I thought I'd just film it and see what you guys think. So yeah, just sit back and enjoy. Okay, so in this example, I've got one of the miniatures from the Shades Buyer set. Now I haven't finished him completely, but he's almost there. And great thing about these miniatures is they all sort of snap fit, so we can actually pop him off the base, because it's the base, obviously, that we're going to be focusing on today with this marble effect. So we can take him off there, and we can focus on this base. So then we can get to all the awkward areas as well. So with the base, I've just given it a quick little coat of Dawnstone. I haven't gone for too smooth a coat. We just wanted to, well, I just wanted to get some colour on there, just so it visually looks a little bit better at the start of this video. You can just go straight from your primer or whatever. So yeah, I'm going to go for like a green marble effect. So I'm going to begin with some Incubi Darkness. Now with the Incubi Darkness, as with most base coats, I recommend just a couple of thin coats to get a nice smooth finish. It should go on the grey, actually, really nice. But I will do 2 coats just to be on the safe side. It's important you have a nice smooth base coat when doing this effect. So I'm mainly just going to focus on this big rock here that he'll be standing on, but there are a few other areas on the base that can be this colour as well. I'm not being particularly neat here, I'm just using an old brush, just getting the colour down. And we'll do these stones at the front as well. Okay, so I've given it a couple of coats now, and you see we've got a nice flat colour. So now I'm going to give it a wash of some non-oil. So this will darken it down quite significantly, but we will be brightening it up in future steps, of course. So I'm literally just going to apply this all over, making sure it settles in all the cracks between all the stones. If you're working with a flat piece, it's still worth doing this step, just to sort of tint the surface to make it slightly darker. Although if you have gone over a black undercoat, you may not see it necessary, but it's entirely up to you. Hopefully the end result will give a nice effect. Okay, so that is now dry. I apologise if it doesn't look it. It's gone a little bit glossy in the recesses there, but that's fine. That's no worries. We're going to start some dry brushing now, and we're going to start with Hellion Green. So before we get into all the veins and such like that, we just want to just get some lighter colours onto this. Now, you could even sponge these colours on, or just dab them on, stipple them on, whatever you want to do. I'm just going to dry brush. But marble is just random, so there's no sort of right or wrong way of doing this. I haven't got the best dry brush in the world, but we'll just dry brush this colour on. I'm just going to go on all the edges. It's take a little time to build up, and obviously I won't film all of that, but just take your time and go around just building this colour up. Okay, so I don't know how well the camera's picked up there, but we've dry brushed on the Hellion Green. This time we're going to do exactly the same, but with Cyberite Green. So this should show up a little bit better on the camera, but again, just lightly going over all these edges. This will really pick up quite a nice light green highlight on all the edges. Now it's a bit trickier when you get into these bits, but with marble you can get away with these lighter patches of colour, even if they're not always on the edges. And as I said, you could sponge this on, stipple it on to have random patterns, but it's entirely up to you. But for this example, I'm just doing it this way. So next we're going to do even more dry brushing, but this time we'll do it a little bit more focused, and we're going to take the dry compound Hellion Green. So I'll just get some of this on my brush now. Unfortunately with some of these older dry compounds, they're just a little bit too thick in pigment, but they do dry brush pretty well. And we're just going to focus on like corners, edges, really just brighten it up even further. It's a bit powdery. A little bit less on the brush. You can sort of hit most of this area at the back. Some of these little rocks as well. Now with the very small rocks at the front, we won't do anything else to them, but we'll add veins and such to the top. Again, it's coming on a little bit powdery, as it's one of the older dry compounds. I did change the recipe for these quite recently, so they're a bit thinner, so you don't get as much of this powdery effect, but unfortunately I haven't got a newer one. You could also use Gauze Blaster Green, which is an edge compound. It's a little bit better pigment wise, so I'm going to actually use a little bit of that. Just for these like middle bits, and that'll help build the colour up just a little bit more. Like so. Okay, so you could even just leave it at that if you just wanted a sort of nicer green sort of stone, but of course we're going for more of a marble. So, of course, the next step will be to add some veins. Okay, to add the veins, I'm going to take some Gauze Blaster Green. Now you want to be really random with the veins to give them a more natural look. I've got a detail brush. I've also thinned the Gauze Blaster Green down a little bit. These edge paints are quite thin, but they need to sort of be slightly thinner for this. So we're just running just random lines like that. And you can sort of come off each other, sort of think of it like sort of painting like lightning sort of effects, really. But it is good to try and sort of keep them semi-parallel with each other. And also, less is more in this situation for sure. Don't just do loads of random stripes and stuff on them, just really just do a few. Like so now, they look quite light at the moment as I do this. You may want to build up a couple of layers to get a nice smooth finish. But also you can sort of change the pressure that you put on the brush as well. That'll change the thickness of the lines. You want them to sort of be random as well, so a really light pressure would give you a really thin line, for example. And the lines don't even have to be solid as well. They could be slightly broken, like so. Just a little bit of a gap. Definitely use like pictures of marble for reference, and then just take your time with it and just be random, really. Okay, so as you can see, got the lines on here. to represent little veins. There's a couple of bits where I just neatened up with the Inky by Darkness, so I didn't really like them, but yeah, I just kept it simple. Less is more in this case. And yeah, I'm quite happy with them. So, you could leave it at that. One thing I will do is take some Inky by Darkness. I'm going to thin this way down to a glaze consistency. So really thin. Basically like water. And we're just going to do a thin glaze of this over the whole thing. Very thin, I'm going to spread it all out. Even this is probably too thick actually. I'll just spread that out even further. And what this sort of does is just sort of helps make the veins feel a little bit more embedded inside the marble. Just tints them just slightly more green. If you look, the veins aren't always pure white. With a slight green. That's why we used a Gauze Blaster green as well. Okay, so the final step is just to take some Hard Coat Varnish, or any gloss varnish that you wish to use, and then we'll just apply it on all the rocks. Marble is usually quite shiny, as it's a really smooth surface, so the Hard Coat Varnish will help sell that effect. You see, that's really shiny on the camera under these lights already. The hard coat will of course dry clear, and then we'll have our finished base, or at least the marble sections on it. Okay, so the gloss varnish is almost dry now. You can see it gives us a nice shiny marble effect. So this is just a simple way of doing a marble effect. Of course, if you want it sort of super realistic, it is a lot more work, but I thought I'd just show you a simple way of doing it on just a small base like so, and I'm really happy with how it's turned out. I just hope the camera picks it up quite well. But yeah, it's just a simple little way of doing marble. So I hope this video has been somewhat useful to some of you guys. I'll pop the little guy on so you can see what it looks like under him. I think he looks pretty cool on there. It's worth, if you're going to do this green marble effect, it is worth having miniatures who will contrast well with the base. You don't want like green miniatures on the green base, that might look a little bit strange, but something like Stormcast works really well. So yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video, and if you have any other suggestions for any painting tutorials, conversion tutorials, etc. that you would like to see on the channel, then please do leave a comment below. You can of course give this video a thumbs up if you've enjoyed it, and we also have a Patreon that you may want to check out as well. But other than that, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you all in the next video.